Loving those who love on you, no hard feelings.
And when you hold grudges, it's gonna make you a bitter old bitch.
Are you talking about Karen?
Well, you look amazing. Great
Thank
to talk to
you.
you today. Are you excited? So first of all, are you excited about season 9? Was a lot happened in season 8.
Yes, it did. I'm definitely excited for season 9. I think there's a fresh energy that was palpable for all of us, ladies. And I'm not gonna lie, I was feeling a little bit trepidatious because there had been so much that had been going on. Honestly, so much within the last 8 years that had been going on. And I think that all of us really wanted to start this cycle really in our personal lives too, how we were conducting with each other personally, but also how we were moving on the show. We really wanted to, try something a little bit different.
Well, speaking of trying things different, this season definitely starts out in a little bit of a dark place with Karen's DUI being the focus of that. And you all seem really concerned about her. There was a big gap, between the seasons, and we heard the blogs were talking about everything. What was your relationship like with Karen, during that hiatus? Were you all checking on her? Did you talk to her? Because everyone seems kind of like, still very much, confused about exactly what happened.
Oh, 100%. I think one area that we will always come together in is when there are times of concern, whether it's something, a death in the family or an injury or the birth. Like there are these moments where, irrespective of what anyone else has going on, we are going to come together and support that person and uplift them. And that's exactly what happened with Karen. And it was a little tough because now I understand to a degree that Karen was like keeping things close to her. But in the moment when we all had so many questions and we're all used to sharing about each other, like, I'll tell you my business, I spill on my beans. And it was just a little foreign to me in particular that Karen wasn't being more forthcoming at the time, just so that it could ease all of our minds. Because when I got that news, I was standing in my kitchen, literally my heart dropped. So unfortunately, not having all the facts, like your imagination really just runs wild.
Mm-hmm. I know, this season is definitely a new, it's like everyone's on a new foot, but mentioning like people not necessarily being forthcoming, that's something that we saw happen last season a lot with Robin. And so I wondered if, authenticity is something that, you've always been very authentic. You've been one of the girls that's always been very authentic, but I think we saw last season that that's something that's really important. Just, being on the show, being honest about what's happening. And so it felt very much a little bit like Karen was not necessarily doing that, even in the first episode.
Well, I appreciate your intuitive approach to that, because I think that, like Robin was held to the fire. If he were held to the fire so much about this and this and this that happened while we weren't filming. Mm-hmm. And so I think it is par for the course, and everyone should have remembered that same decorum that you were requesting of someone else really should be expected of everybody. Absolutely. And so that was another thing that was challenging, is we thought that was how this group was moving, because that authenticity, as you said, was the name of the game. So when that wasn't happening, it was a little bit of a cause for pause.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, you are in a different space. We've seen you really grow, and, as a mom and just as a woman, on the show since season 1, and hearing that you are in a place where you're ready to move on with your life and finally close that chapter. I wonder what was the moment, or what happened that kind of changed and you were able to say, I'm ready to move on. I'm ready to formally, move on and really make this change with my life.
It's really tough, if I'm fully transparent with you, because I just had my own timeline. And one thing about being on this platform is I do open up myself to everybody. So there were so many opinions telling me, like, you need to do this. What are you doing? And I was feeling a lot of pressure, but I just didn't fully feel ready to cross that threshold myself. And the best thing, the most crucial thing that helped me really was my relationship with Giselle. And Giselle was checking on me all the time. Even my lawyer, who I started to use, I had one lawyer, and then that lawyer wasn't really working out. Giselle was like, here, slid me her number. And so she's really been instrumental in helping me get to a place that I really feel confident. And especially because she's someone who can relate to where I am, who's been here and has lived to tell the tale. I really trust her opinion in everything that she said. So she's been like really my big sister.
That's interesting to see because we know Giselle can be a little shady towards towards everyone else, and that her side, her bestie Robin isn't there, and so it seems like you guys have really gelled, even with the GNA. Can you tell us a little bit about what's going on with GNA? And then there was like a remix GNA, right? So where are we?
Yes,
with the line now?
So GNA is going through an evolution, and as you'll see on the show, we have a lot of things that are going on. And we have some really great community events that we show. So I don't want to tell you too much because it actually is pretty instrumental as to what happens throughout the rest of the season. But I will tell you that, just because Giselle's my homegirl, it doesn't mean that I don't get a little shade too. Okay. She dishes it out. She takes it, but she also dishes it. And it's been great being in her business partner and going through this process with her, doing Love Hotel with her too. Our relationship has really just taken on so many different facets.
Now I have to ask you, doing a fashion line with someone that has constantly been, definitely beat up in the media about her own fashions. Were you a little concerned about getting into, doing fashions with Giselle when she gets so much slack about her fashions not necessarily being, tasteful all the time?
I mean, no, to me, Giselle has her own sense of style. I like the way Giselle dresses, even if I'm in the minority, I don't care. I like the way she dresses. And what I really appreciate too is we had a similar idea about how we wanted to approach the line. So more so than just the fashions itself, it was the methodology. It was our viewpoint for our mission, who we wanted to reach out to, how we wanted to go about it. All that stuff was so in line and in sync, and it worked out. But my girl can dress. I don't know why anybody keeps coming for her. She had some looks, especially while we were in Mexico recently. She has some looks for sure.
Okay, well, we're looking forward to seeing that this season because she definitely has taken a lot of heat for it over the past seasons. Now, I got to ask you about your boys. I saw some articles and showing pictures of them, and you kind of sharing. They've grown up. We've seen them, grow up on television. How do you kind of gauge how much to expose them to and what to keep private, to make sure that that relationship is always taken care of and they don't ever become overwhelmed with, being, their family being portrayed so publicly on television?
Yeah, I mean, it's still a balancing act. They are so young. My son Dylan is 3, my son Dean is 5. So I don't quite have it fully figured out yet, if I'm being completely honest, but I do commend their dad. He is someone who is very pragmatic. So he and I have devised a plan that we think is good for how to approach the children being on social media, being on the show. And we agree on that. So that's been really helpful. And, even though our marriage didn't work out, co-parenting is going really well. So that helps me keep things grounded. And at the same time, it's nice to have some input from someone else to know that I'm doing things right. I'm doing an okay job.
Yeah. Well, it's good that you guys are in a good space. So you guys would you call yourself friends, or is it more just like a co-parenting situation? Where's the relationship?
Yeah. And friends is a little bit of a strong word. So we will say that we're co-parenting. He's a great dad, right? And I can never take that away from him. He wants to be involved. And, I was raised by a single parent. So by no means do I want to deprive my children of that relationship with their dad. So yeah, co-parenting is going very well. Very well.
Thanks. Well, that's good. Congratulations on that. I know that's really important, especially when the kids are so young and they came from that family unit. Lastly, I got to ask you, speaking of children, the surprising stories this season were definitely Karen's issues. And then Mia has a lot going on that seems a little over the top. In the first episode, some people felt like Mia was not necessarily being a conscientious parent by kind of exposing her children to the drama that's going on with Ink and Gordon. What are your thoughts on that?
That was a really tough conversation for me to hear because I'm in a similar situation to Mia. Like I'm also going through a divorce separation that's very public. So I empathize with her. The way that Mia has conducted herself is not necessarily how I would do it, right? But what I have to realize and what it's been an exercise for me is just because I wouldn't necessarily have my boyfriend and my husband living together like Mia does or did, I can respect that that's something that she thinks is the right thing to do of having and honestly, maybe it is, right? Like, I don't know. Mia is somebody who, if it hasn't been done, she's going to try it. And I have to commend that, right? But certainly there's something to be said for protecting our children, especially when they're of an age that they can comprehend and be exposed to things. We have that responsibility.
All right, last question, Ashley. We see that you're going to be doing some dating this season. How does it feel to be back out? I'm not going to lie. I was looking for you to be here like before. I was like, Ashley's so beautiful and she's such a great girl. We want to see her out, finding love again. How has it been actually really getting out and feeling free to get into dating, back in the dating world and test out what you like, what you don't like? What's that process been like?
I mean, well, Crystal, let's not get it twisted. I've been having a time still. You know what I'm saying? It just may not have been for everybody to see, but your girl's been having a time. And it's really been great. I think that the thing that's different is just dating publicly is so different, right? Like to have the whole world seeing me as a married woman, and I felt married. I can't explain it to you, but it was like in all fiber of my being, I felt like a married woman, like I was committed to somebody, mind, body, soul, all of that. So then when that changed and now I'm still in this position where I'm publicly sharing my life with the world, but yet those facets of my life changed, it was a very abrupt adjustment for me. I was like, wait, but I'm not married Ashley to this, or gold digger Ashley, whatever they'd like to call me back in the days. And now I'm like really on my own. I'm feeling my own 2 feet. I'm kissing and telling, right? Like I'm doing all the things. So it was an adjustment. It was an adjustment, but I leaned in and I leaned all the way in. I did.
Well, we can't wait to see it. Thank you for your authenticity and just always being someone on the show that, always approaches sisterhood from a positive perspective and is always extremely authentic. I think the fans really appreciate that about you, Ashley, and looking forward to seeing more from you this season with GNA and your dating and just your raising your two boys. We're definitely looking forward to seeing how your story plays out this season.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it.